I wanted to do 300,000 to 400,000 in my real estate business, but I wanted to do $1 million in my short-term rental business.
And you had such big success. And usually I feel like I see it in the opposite way. And you're like, hey, how do I scale back? Like I've reached it. How do I scale back and turn this active income into passive? This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it, all tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Agent Goldmine. Today, we are here with Jeremiah Barnett, and it is a great episode for you if you are looking on how to coach clients on investing and build wealth in real estate. So Jeremiah is out of Wilmington, North Carolina, and he's been an agent for 5.5 years, closed over 300 transactions, 79 million in volume, and just last year did 41 closings and 18.5 million in volume, just as a solo agent with a full-time assistant. So Jeremiah, welcome.
Hi.
We're super stoked to have you.
Hey guys.
Jeremiah, please tell us how you got to the level that you did, 18.5 million just this past year. That's amazing. Can you walk us through the journey of when you first got licensed up until where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show today. So my background was not in real estate. Prior to real estate, I spent 9 years as the general manager for a local gym, Gold's Gym, here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I enjoyed what I was doing. But one day, one of my friends who was in the Army, I think for about 18 years, he had confided in me and told me that he didn't even have $500 to his name. And I was kind of baffled by that. I was like, you spend almost 2 decades serving our country and you don't even have $1,000 extra. So anyways, that was about the end of that. And about 2 years later, he was doing a Facebook Live and I happened to see it. It was kind of a happenstance, and he was talking about a real estate investing deal that he was involved in. It's over $1 million transaction. And I was like, wow. I said, how did Dante go from broke to being a participant in $1 million real estate deal? So that morning, instead of listening to my hip hop rap music, get me pumped up while I was pumping the iron, I Googled real estate investing. And that morning came across Bigger Pockets. You guys have heard of it, Shelby nice shirt. And I turned my pop music into real estate investing in the mornings. And so I started at episode 1 and just started listening to Bigger Pockets in the morning and on my lunch breaks. And my brain just was getting so big with all this information, but I didn't know what to do with it. And after about 4 months of listening to this awesome information on a daily basis, I had decided, hey, it's time for me to make a move on this, but I didn't have any funds myself to do any real estate investing. And I know there's the low and no money down and all those techniques, but at the time I was so stuck in my gym world that I didn't really have time to really see what I could do without money. So I thought, well, maybe I should get my real estate license. And if I do a few transactions a year, this is where I was at the time, use that money to buy my first investment property and go down that road. And so I got permission from the owner of Gold's Gym. I told him that I wanted to get into real estate investing, but I needed to take my real estate license class. So I did that. I got licensed in October of 2017. No intentions of going full-time into real estate. Just thought I'd do a few transactions here or there. Well, that very month, a chance, Gold's Gym sold to another franchise, and the new ownership wanted to offer me the same job that I had, but I had about a 40% pay cut. Well, I'm married and I've got 4 kids. Well, 40% pay cut stings pretty bad when you're already living paycheck to paycheck. And so I ended up, before I gave them my final answer, my wife, Valerie, and I, we sat down and I said, hey, babe, I said, here's the deal. They want to cut my pay. They want to take our benefits. I just got my real estate license. I really think I could do this thing. And so I explained to her our financial situation, how we didn't have money in savings and how this is going to be a tough road to go at. But she said, Jeremiah, if anybody can do it, you can. But you got 6 months to figure it out. So I actually started driving Uber full time while pursuing real estate. I believe my first year, I sold $62,000 in gross income. I think it was 30-something transactions that year, my first year in the business. And Uber helped supplement my income while I was getting that ramped up. 3 out of my first 5 deals were actually Uber passengers. And I think I drove Uber for about 2 years, my first 2 years in real estate. And so I was making 6 figures and still driving Uber. And here I am today, gotten really heavy into investing myself, as well as teaching other people how to invest and create wealth through real estate.
Dude, that is such a cool story. And I'm still hung up on the fact you made $162,000 your first year. And it makes sense, that 3 of your first 5 deals were from Uber passengers, but maybe someone else is listening to this being like, yo, where did he get enough people to close that, and make that much money? So like, where did your clients come from in the beginning?
Okay. So the first year, I will say that I'm fortunate. I've lived in the same area for, at that time, for about 20 years. And I'm just a people person. I enjoy people, always making friends. And so I've never bought any leads or done any crazy marketing or anything like that. But I've always been engaging with people, whether I've known you for 10 years or 10 minutes. I like to engage with people, have meaningful conversations. And my first year, all of my business was either Uber passengers or my sphere of influence that I had at the time.
And when you say you're engaging, with all these people you talk to, where is that? So the Uber, it makes sense. But even with people in their sphere of influence, like, did you call everyone in your phone? Are you posting on socials? Like, what does that engagement look like?
Okay. Yeah. So fake it till you make it. So my first year, I was doing an open house every weekend, posting pictures about it. And most people that aren't in real estate, they don't realize that the agents holding open houses oftentimes are the new agents that don't have business yet, but they just see you doing real estate. And so it really occurred to me that what I was doing was working when I ran into someone at the park that knew me from when I ran the gym. And I guess they're friends with me on social media. And they said, man, Jeremiah, I see you're killing it in real estate. Just want to say great job. I knew that you would do well in it. And at that time, I don't think it even sold anything yet. So I just said, thanks, I appreciate it. But it was really that impression that I gave off because I was active. I just wasn't closing deals at the moment. So on top of driving Uber and doing the open houses, I really just portrayed myself as someone that knew what I was doing, and I was confident in it, even though I really hadn't done anything to prove that yet. So it took 4 months before I had my first deal.
And what does your clientele, like your client avatar, look like now, especially now with your investing background, since you got into investing after having gotten your license? Are your clients mainly investors?
I wouldn't say mainly, but I do get a big portion of my business from investors because that's repeat business. The average person, they move every 5 to 7 years. So you're waiting half a decade before you can get another transaction from that client. On average, but investors, they may do 5 a year or more or less, but it's repeat business. So I don't know the actual statistics are, but I would say at least 40, at this point, probably 40% of my business touches an investor to some degree. And the other 60% is like traditional real estate.
Okay. So your social media post, your open houses in the beginning, we're capitalizing on that, 60% of your business, which wouldn't be investors. So of the 40% that are investors, how are they finding you? How are you finding them? What does that piece look like?
Well, early on, I actually, through a Facebook ad on the listing that I met an investor from Greensboro, and we just really hit it off. We clicked really well. And in that investor space, they're always looking for off-market deals. The ones where there's that value add opportunity, whether it's to flip it or buy and hold or out of it or whatever their end goal is. But because we developed such a trust with each other, I sometimes would call them with an off-market deal and I say, hey, I've evaluated this. You got 5 minutes to tell me yes or no. And he trusted me so much that when I ran numbers and gave him what I thought he would end up doing, this is speaking on flip properties specifically, I was able to give an answer back to whoever's bringing me that off-market deal relatively quickly. I usually would have an answer for them within half an hour. And word got out that, hey, Jeremiah's got buyers that will buy. So people ended up bringing me deals they were coming to me, and then I was able to talk to my investors to give them a shot to bite on it.
That's awesome. And because everyone is looking for off-market deals, not just investors, like home buyers, especially during hard markets where buyers cannot get in or can't compete with the other 10, 20 offers. So how are you finding these off-market deals? And how did you develop those relationships to where these off-market deals are coming to you?
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that.
Well, it came from execution, meaning if I told you that I was going to close on the deal or my client it was getting closed on. So that's a lot of times the off-market deals, they don't have a lot of time to get it closed, to make it happen. So because we were executing on such a efficient level, the deals were brought to me, and then other people would hear that I had clients that would close rather quickly and wouldn't, they'd be a pretty easy close. So the word just kind of got out in that world that, hey, if you're doing investing, you need to talk to Jeremiah, at least know him.
That's such, I love that. I love this because a lot of times the experienced investors already know what they want, right? They know they have their own Excel sheet. They run their own numbers. They're not relying on someone else to run numbers for them and tell them if a good deal is a good deal or not. So how did you manage those expectations and talk to those buyers if those buyers maybe weren't experienced, or did you only work with experienced investors?
For the off-market stuff, it was all experienced investors, people that had some experience under their belt, because they're usually cash buyers using hard money. They kind of know what they're looking for. They know what the parameters are. And I did learn that each investor is not the same. And so I kind of categorized what type of opportunity each investor was. And so I could kind of figure out who I need to go to first based off of their parameters and the world that they're working in. And anybody listening to this podcast today, I was doing this prior to investing myself. I just became a student of the game before I became a player in the game. And because I became such a student in the game, I was able to provide good information and good services to my clients and potential clients to where they really trusted me and they valued my evaluations on the opportunities. And so if you have never invested yourself, it doesn't mean you can't be a fantastic student. And I got most of my information from listening to Bigger Pockets.
I would love to see or walk through an initial buyer consultation, whether they're an investor, whether they're a regular home buyer. What does working with you look like starting from the first conversation? Okay,
so this is where Shelby questions, why did I bring Jeremiah on this podcast? Because what it looks like working with me, I'm very untraditional. Half the time I'm in gym clothes. I dressed up for you guys today. This is about as fancy as I get. But I am very much not a sit down and fill out all this paperwork. I'm just like, hey, let's meet up. Let's walk. Let's go check out a house. And potential investors, I would let them know, hey, I'm evaluating the deal for somebody else. You want to come with me, check it out. And just kind of, the guy out there walking out on the properties versus meeting in an office. Now, sometimes if I don't have that relationship with them, like I'm meeting with someone this evening and, they're very liquid, 7-figure liquid, and they've seen what I've done and they're interested in working with me. So I'm going to sit down with them and school them a little bit on what I can help them do to really build that trust by providing information with real results that will turn into a lot of future business. So in that case, I will meet with them one-on-one and just sit down with them, build some trust and some rapport. So they need to know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to investing. Nobody really wants to sit down to a presentation with a little flip book. I don't think I've ever done a professional listing consultation. I just go in and hang out, and 9 times out of 10, I get the listing.
Dude, that's what we are too. I mean, we are super systems oriented for sure, but it's very much like if you talk to the best people in the game, it's about being your authentic self and being able to instill confidence in the areas that you are an expert. So to bring it back, which I totally agreed with the part where you're be a student, because I think back on all of the investors that I worked with over the years. And the only reason that I was able to do that was because I was personally digging into that information for myself. And I was living those same the same challenges, the same struggles that they were. And that in turn helps you be so much of a more, I don't know, dynamic and helpful agent when working with investors. So totally with you on all of that stuff. And when you get to take people and walk through a house, which Ali, I think it would be actually a really cool podcast if one day we, went through an actual listing appointment and recorded it, or a buyer consultation, because I would love to see what conversations you actually have like throughout the house.
Yeah.
Ali, do you got a question? You're good.
Oh, do I have a question? Oh, I was going to see what your question was. Yeah. So I actually wanted to see what does your business look like? Because we've spoken about buyers. If percentage wise, like how heavy are you buyers versus listings?
Pretty 50-50.
Okay, cool. Did those start from the beginning, or how did you get those? How did you start ramping up the listings?
Oh, definitely from the beginning. I was definitely buyer heavy. I worked a lot with first-time home buyers because they didn't have established relationship with agents. But obviously those buyers are now selling, and so I've gotten a lot of repeat business, especially being in 5.5 years now.
Yeah,
quite a few as far as repeat first-time home buyers.
What does it look like for you with keeping in touch with past clients? Since everyone, I feel like, focuses always on new business, like, oh, how do I get the next new client? And there's so much effort and time, sometimes money there. How do you not do that and instead like focus on past clients that already trust you?
So right now, I throw 2 big parties a year. One of them is family friendly. It's the 4th of July party. We get like a 22-foot water slide. Now we have this awesome pool out there. We just have like thousands of dollars worth of food and drinks, and everybody just has a good time. And so that's a great contact point. And then we also do a adult only event. I throw a big Halloween party. I think last year we just over 100 people at my house. And I do a full open bar, DJ. I mean, so much food, you can't stand it. I mean, it's an awesome time. And so that's 2 times a year that I'm touching all of my database. And that's a cool call, right? You're inviting them to a cool event that, I'm spending thousands of dollars on, but they get to come hang out and have a good time. And so there's 2 events there. That's 2 touches. That's really personal. And I really believe that having someone in my house kind of puts me on the next level as far as connection with them, because if all things are equal, if there's agent A and agent B, and they have the same skill set and they have the same type of relationship with the client, but they've been to this guy's house, never been to this person's house. I mean, that just gives me the edge. So that's 2 of the ways that I kind of make connection. And then I really focus on the people that have a big sphere of influence. And those people, they get extra attention and love from me, whether I just send them a random gift or whatever. Sometimes I'll just randomly send some of my clients a gift, a little gift basket or something, the ones that have a good sphere of influence. And I know that behind them is a whole slew of people that trust them. So if I can get to know them, that really just opens up my world as far as potential clientele.
That really does. Like, the more you give, the more you get back. I just signed up for Client Giant, and because my love language, the lowest one are gifts. I don't know giving them. I'm just the worst gift giver. So I'm like, I need to give gifts to my biggest supporters to my business. Right. So I recently reached out to, just last week, I reached out to someone who's given me a lot of business. And I'm like, hey, Rosie, oops. Well, whatever, you can keep the name. I'm like, dude, what's your address? And because she lives across the country. And because I literally just wanted to give, literally thought nothing of it. Like, I want to give you a gift. She was like, oh, I'm in the middle of moving, but here's the address for now. The next day, she's like, hey, I have a listing for you out in Tucson. Again, she's out across the country. I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. And so, but your sphere, especially since you just this past year have done 18.5 million, how you have so many people in your database. How are you keeping track of just does a person just pop up in your head and you're like, oh, let me give this person a gift? Or is there any sort of system that you have that reminds you or, sends out these gifts?
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us. We'll reshare that.
No, I do not have a system, and it just pops in my head. Yeah.
Wow. Dang,
Yeah,
that's
not
crazy.
Good. Right. So I'm leaving opportunity on the table. I'm very well with that.
But you do have a database, which actually surprised me when you were like, yeah, the people in my database. I was like, oh, he has a database.
Yeah, there's about 1,000 in there or something like that.
And who's putting them in there for you?
I did it years ago when I got into business because I've been in sales to some degree for my whole life. So I've always kept up with people's names and numbers. And, half of them, probably don't remember me because there's, maybe 15 years ago I got their contact info, but they're there regardless. And I've gotten some business from people that were in my database that I really couldn't have pointed them out if they were in front of me, but they were getting. Okay, I do have. Okay, I guess not completely. Okay.
I'm like.
Okay. So yeah, I do have I know it's dumb, but I have emails that go out once a month. So there's that.
Okay, that's
dumb.
huge.
Yeah.
Because it's way more than most people.
Yeah.
All right. So these 1,000 people get at least one email from me a month, and then all of my clients. I guess I do stuff here. So all my clients that bought or sold with me, they do get those little corny magazines with my face on it every other month. Yeah.
Magazines?
Yeah.
Okay. What magazines? Are these like Wilmington Official or what is this?
It's one of those magazines that, you go to the big trade shows and they're like, hey, you can customize your magazine. Your clientele will get, you can customize it and they'll get one every other month.
And you said that's only to people who have previously bought or sold with you?
Mostly. There's a few people in there that I just know really well that haven't been clients yet, but they get one. I think Reminder Media, that's the company that does the magazine.
You knew my next question. I'm also curious on how much it costs per magazine. Do you know?
I don't know. It's auto. It just comes out, whatever.
Okay, you said Reminder Magazine.
Yeah.
All right, I'm writing it down.
And what's in the magazine?
Reminder Media. You can have one that's focused on fitness and health, or there's one that's called Healthy Living. So that's one I do. And then they have one that's more like just general real estate stuff. But because I do have the gym background, I do the fitness and health, Healthy Living one.
Is that similar to your email campaign as well?
The email campaign is pretty much on autopilot. So I don't spend a lot of time customizing it. I could or I should, but I haven't at this point.
What's
so
in
it's
it now?
just like a standard newsletter. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get my own emails.
Okay. But hey, look, so Allie and I are peeling back this onion. You are the onion, by the way, because you're like, I don't have systems. I just close deals out of nowhere. Okay, no. So to recap so far, you capitalize on your sphere of influence by retargeting with consistent social media posts, and then also sending a monthly database blast along with every other month a magazine to people who have bought, sold, and some special others. In addition to consistently, semi-consistently.
And the big parties.
Gifts.
The big parties.
Okay, you're full of is what we're learning. I have a question. You may not know the answer. Do you have a marketing budget annually?
No.
I'm so curious, I'm curious about what the costs are. And this is, you already said no, but
so I run a really lean business. My most expensive costs are my parties. I might spend $5,000 or $6,000 per party.
So $12,000 a year on parties, just parties alone. That's not including the magazines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned, so outside of marketing, your other overhead would be your full-time assistant.
Yeah.
I want to know how much, is she local or is she a virtual or what does that look like?
How do you think this is she? Come on now. I have a woman assistant. Come on.
Do you not? Is it a dude?
Yes, a dude.
Oh my God.
Shelby.
I just felt like you needed like a soft touch in your face.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I'm married. I'm not having a female in my office.
A little rough around the edges. No, just okay, so you have a dude assistant, and how much, or is he local or is he He's
local. He actually worked for me when I was at the gym.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And does he do contract to close for you? What does he do?
Yeah, so he's my contract coordinator, transaction coordinator. He does that. He does showings for me. I had him get licensed, so he can basically do anything I can do. He gets a salary, and then any business he brings in, he's compensated per deal that he brings into the business.
Okay, gotcha. So he does all of your showing assistance, contract to close, I assume stuff with your database. If you need the gifts ordered, you're just like, yo, bro, here's this. Love you so much. Thank you.
Not just do that. I just hop on my phone, do some Amazon shopping, and knock it out.
Okay, perfect. And outside of the assistant and outside of your marketing, do you have any other overhead?
My office. That's about it. I do run pretty lean as far as expenses go.
We saw that with your internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. For listeners, they don't know. This is actually our second time trying to record with Jeremiah because internet went out round one. It's fine.
Yes. So mostly because of how I run my business, I'm so much sphere-based, and I know how to market with social media for free. So, and doing that doesn't cost me much of anything.
Okay. I had another question earlier. I think it was on the first recording. You mentioned that you hired a coach at some point. Do you still have that coach? Who is that coach? What's the coaching program?
Yeah. So after year 2021. Yeah. So 2021, I finished up. I did 600,000 gross GCI that year, 600,000. And I did like 68 transactions, I believe it was. And that's as an independent agent. And so I hired a coach because I have gotten into investing, really focused on short-term rentals. I hired my coach and I said, hey, I actually want to do 20% less business this year in my real estate, but I wanted to double my income for my short-term rentals. So the year before I did 200,000 in my short-term rental income, just gross income, not like profit, but just gross income. I wanted to do 400,000 there and then do 500,000 in real estate. And so 2022, I did just over 500,000 in real estate, but then I think I did, let's see here, 700,000 in my short-term rental business.
Whoa, yes, you went from 100 to 700,000 in 1 year in your short term?
200 to 700.
That's amazing. Okay. So how did you find this coach that has like both the knowledge of agent stuff and investing?
Well, I'm with Keller Williams and they have a MAPS coaching program. And so they've always tried to get me coaching, but I'm like, no, I don't need a coach. I'm just doing it all by myself. I'm Rambo. And I was like, you know what? I need to hire a coach to help me transition what I'm doing. And so I went to the head of MAPS and I said, hey, I'm not your average person. I don't want someone that's going to look over every phone call I make and everything I do, but I want someone who's more of a consultant to me that understands real estate investing and being an agent all at the same time. And so I told them my expectations of what I wanted to do. And that's how they matched me up with someone who is very heavy into investing themselves and into the real estate world. And a good portion of their clients are focused around investing. So they matched me up with a coach that way.
How much is the coach?
$1,000 a month.
To go from 200 to 700 is amazing and well worth that $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of agents are very scared of hiring a coach, and they need it. They need a good kick in the butt. Just hire it. If you feel like you can't get there yourself, and you have had such big success. And usually I feel like I see it in the opposite way where new agents will hire a coach because they're like, hey, I don't even know left from right. Where do I start? How do I start making business? And you're like, hey, how do I scale back?
Right.
I've reached it. How do I scale back and turn this active income into passive as short-term rentals can be? So that's amazing. What does the future look like now? What's your next year goal and your 10-year plan?
Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Yeah, so this year my goal was to do, and this is obviously backwards for an agent, but this is just how I'm designing my life and my business currently, subject to change. I wanted to do 300,000 to 400,000 in my real estate business, but I wanted to do $1 million in my short-term rental business. So if you look at the whole picture is growing every year, you're just one section's growing bigger and one section's getting smaller. But eventually what's going to happen is both of them are going to expand to some degree. I'm not always going to be rapidly expanding my investment portfolio as fast as I am right now. And I don't want to remove myself from traditional real estate because to me it's fun and it feels easy for the most part. It doesn't stress me out. Even when stuff is challenging, for the most part, I'm pretty good with it. But the thing that really has pushed me to grow that side of the business is because I didn't have a savings. I didn't have a retirement plan. I'm married with kids, so I got to think about these things. And so I always said, well, I guess I'm going to be selling houses till I'm 90 years old, Lord willing, if I live that long. But now if I were to stop, if I never sold another, let's say at the end of this year, I never sold another house and I didn't buy another house, I would, and if my income for my rental stays the same, I'll probably profit between $500,000 and $600,000 a year if I don't do anything else. So I'm okay. But when is enough? I get asked that a lot, and I don't know that I have an answer to that because it's what I do and I love it. So why stop when it feels good,
Dude, I love that. The retirement mindset is really hard for me because I feel like when you retire, well, first of all, I love working and I feel like we're similar. Like it's exciting. It makes me feel purposeful. At the end of the day, I feel good because I accomplished something and I'm working towards a larger goal. And then the money is the benefit. You know what I mean? It's just like the icing on the cake. I'm like, okay. And then I'm listening to more and more podcasts lately by Diary of the CEO. And the one that I was just listening to this morning was talking all about, the brain and the negative impacts of retiring on your brain. Yeah. And then because you're not using it and you're not actually solving problems and working towards something, your brain just goes to the side and then your body follows and you die. So, so I'm with you. Let's work till we die. As long as it's fun, right?
Yeah, no, I don't feel like, even though I'm working, I don't feel like I'm working a whole lot. And one thing that goes around that I wanted to talk about a little bit, where I'm a little different as far as how I structure my day and how I structure my life, because they always talk about in real estate, you got to have your calendar in place. You have to be purposeful. You got to know what you're doing. And for myself, in the way that I think, I'm always going to think about business. I just can't help it. I always think about business. But is that the most important thing? So the most important thing, you got to take care of your household first. So, you got a wife and kids or a husband and kids, or you got a special person at home, whatever you got. It's important to you in your health. You got to keep those in place. So the things that I time block that are, for the most part, non-negotiables are my gym time, my family time, and then my recreational time, whether it's fishing or whatever. So if you were to look at my calendar, you're going to find my appointments with the trainer. You're gonna see the kids' football practices and sports games, and I don't have a real estate calendar. I have a life calendar that gets put into place, and then real estate kind of filters in and out. And the reason I have it that way is because I'm always going to think about business, and because I always think about business, I'm never not going to pursue business because that's how I am as a person. So I need to make sure that I take care of the family stuff and the personal stuff, whether it's your health, getting to work out and those things. I hear people all the time, well, how do you have time to work out when you're selling all those deals? I'm like, well, I make it a priority. It's before calling someone. Some people get up early in the morning and hit the phones. I get up early to go to the gym. That's just what's important to me. I don't really start working until probably 11 o'clock in the morning because I've done the family stuff, I've done gym stuff, and I feel good. I'll take phone calls, but I'm not getting up in the morning like, hey, I'm going to pound the pavement. I'm actually focusing on myself and my kids, my wife.
Dude, I think that's really cool because I've never actually thought about it that way. But I'm similar in the fact of like, I don't have to remember to think about business.
Right.
Like it's always there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I do have to remember to do, the things that you listed, the working out and the prioritizing my health and relationships and stuff like that. But dude, I so thought when you were like, talking about your priorities and you started with gym. I thought you were going to go like Jersey Shore, like GTL, Gym Tan Level. Oh, dude, that's cool. Okay. What did we not talk about that you wanted to share today?
One of the things this isn't how I started out, right? So when I started out, I was more grinding to create new buyers and trying to get any type of business I could, but I hadn't really moved into the different phase of being a consultant for my clients and learning about investing both in the here and now and then the future opportunities as far as passive residual income and things that come with owning real estate and everything that comes along with it. I've really placed myself in a position where, you may have an agent you worked with for 10 years that you may love them. You may have them over for family dinners, but there's a very high possibility that they've never sat down with you and said, hey, let me show you how you can use real estate to build wealth and have some high level conversation. And not just the conversation, but in the conversation with the first plan of action. And when you do that, you've put yourself on a whole nother level. They start to see you as very valuable to their current and future self because you've put some information in front of them that lets them see another way or a way out or a way to really enhance their future lives for them and their family. Because a lot of people think investing in real estate sounds cool, but they don't really think they can do it. So once I sit down with them and become a consultant and I present to them what they can do and ways of doing that, it just opens you up. You're on a whole nother level. They may like this other person, but they're going to hold you in a whole nother regard because of the information that you hold and how you've had that meaningful conversation of not how can I just get 3% commission from selling your house, but hey, how can I help you and your family build wealth? What does that look like? It's something we can start on now. And you just become a whole different person to them at that point.
I'm really liking this podcast because we've spoken about a lot of different things that could be golden nuggets for this episode. So we spoke about your email campaign that you have one and you don't know what's in it, but somebody does, We spoke about the parties and like what goes into it, because I'm sure it's more than just like, okay, this is my budget, but the planning for it, who's going to be, who are we catering? How are we sending the message out?
Right.
There are so many different, I think, tangible, tactical items that agents can take out of this podcast. What would you like to be the golden nugget for this episode?
The golden nugget, the thing I want you to take from this is learn how you can become a consultant for your clients as far as how to build wealth through real estate. Learn how to do that.
Do you have a script or a piece of paper or something because every single episode that we have, the guests bring something of like, a value that can help other agents that every agent can find on theagentgoldmine.com. So is that a script or something?
No, it's not a script. I guess this doesn't go along the lines of your golden nugget or your magic website or whatever, but it's something
it is
that
magic.
If you pursue it, it's going to make you a better agent and it's going to turn into more business. And you need to be doing it yourself. If you're not investing in real estate yourself, you're missing the boat.
If I were to choose, I would like to see, do you have like a flyer for your ball and Halloween or 4th of July party?
So my wife usually, she does like a, just a little Canva thing on her phone and I send it out.
Via email or text?
Text. And then we do a private invite group on Facebook and then text and call people, follow up.
See, that's super smart. I wish that was written down on like, this is how I throw my parties every year. Yeah. So we could steal it. Well, I don't know, Allie, what do we do with them? What do we do?
Can we get last Halloween's flyer? Because that's that's something. Or the last email that you sent out, just like one example of like, hey, this is a type of email. Because so many agents do not send out email campaigns, and you don't even think about it. So we'd love to know. Yeah, either one or both. Jeremiah, both.
I'll get you some.
Okay,
all right,
sounds
sweet.
good. We'll upload it as a Jeremiah's surprise within the Goldmine.
A magical
Perfect.
surprise.
Well, Jeremiah, a magical surprise. That's right. We wrap up with the same set of questions, and we're going to hit you with them now. So what is your favorite app or tool?
My favorite app or tool? My mouth.
I'm going to say Facebook for him because he uses Facebook to market to his clients. Dude, you have this. You're like fighting us. I don't know why. But that's okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Your mouth. Got it.
What events are you going to this year? Or what events do you normally go to?
So I go to the two Keller Williams events. The family reunion, usually in February, and then mega camp in August.
Sweet. Perfect.
So go ahead.
How can we or listeners help you in your business?
If you were to reach out to me directly, I could probably spend 10 minutes with you on the phone, sharing with you how you can build real estate wealth and protect yourself from the tax man. And that's really the best thing that I could do for a listener, because and in return, they're going to know me as the agent that does real estate on this side of North Carolina, so I will share that because I've learned so much about investing. And this is important to agents, because as you start earning 6 figures or 7 figures in real estate, you got the tax man and you want to pay him as little as possible. Last year, between real estate my real estate income and then the rental income, I think we did like 1.2 million in gross income last year. And I'm very open about this stuff because I learned how to do my taxes and cost segregation with all the properties we bought. I only had a tax bill of $21,000 for federal taxes.
That's awesome. I love cost segregations. So when people hear this episode and they're like, oh, he's doing things, and they want to reach out to you, where and what's the best way to reach out to you? Where can they find you?
My best way, you can just put my phone number up there. You can text me.
Do you, for those that are just listeners?
Say it out loud.
Yep.
Say it out loud. 910-262-8222.
Got it. Perfect. And Jeremiah, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Yes.
We loved hanging with you. Both times. It's been great. And guys, just a reminder, if you want to hang out with me and Allie, it is the Shelby Show and Allie the Agent on the gram. So make sure you holler. And that is it for today. Make sure to check out theagentgoldmine.com. And listeners, be a bro and share this show.
Thanks so much for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep all our resources for you. Till next time.